country ends up in some kind of scrap heap, okay, if it even approaches the scrap heap,
the whole world's going to be in trouble.
The whole world's in trouble, and I don't necessarily want to go through that.
I want to avert this.
I know you do, but that's what I'm trying to say to you is so when you're talking and you're making that argument and you believe you're right and you know you're right, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to hear you. You have to modulate the message in a way that people can understand and appreciate it on their own level. And to me, higher level information, you know, like, look, I found this in my own musical life. If I talk about music from a conceptual point of view, which is what makes music popular, why do people want to buy it, or whatever. If I talk about myself, people get trapped into thinking, oh, he's trying to sell me something, right? Yeah. And I think, I don't need to sell another record, I don't care, right? If I name other bands, they think, oh, you're bitter, you're just jealous of their success. But if you talk to them on a conceptual level, they'll actually hear what you're saying because it's not personalized. So at some point you have to go into the conceptual level to understand. And so I mean, it might be important to bring on somebody who's an expert in the decline of the Roman Empire.
Because they'll see the parallels without me pointing them out.
That's my point. And then you don't have to...
You flip it, something just to separate it from even our time, and now they're not so emotional.
Because ultimately, anybody who's skilled in propaganda can break my message apart, your message apart, anybody's message.
Misrepresent it.
But there are people who are skilled at that. They talk about it. They talk openly on broadcast and cable news about propaganda. It's not even hidden. They talk about a
desperate tactic now to just normalize. Like I want to think Gibbs was trying to do the right thing, but he made a joke out of it. It's more of, okay, I lie, but it's because I'm the master.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no,
I think it's a little deeper than that.
No, I agree. But no, I agree. I was saying I hope he was being real, and
but my point is it doesn't matter
because now they're having to admit it.
If somebody with as much juice as Robert Gibbs is willing to come out and talk openly about that, that's a pretty powerful thing. I don't care what his motivation. Let's say his motivations were totally self-serving. It doesn't matter because somebody who comes out from behind the curtain and says something, no matter what their motivation, that means what's going on behind the curtain is not as powerful. I thought it was interesting, just to go back to the Alex Jones Piers Morgan interview for a second. I thought it was interesting the way that you were attacked from both sides, right? Yeah. Because some people say, oh, you know, see, you know what Dershowitz, there's your advertisement for why we need gun control. Then some of the gun rights groups, and I read like the next day, before the analysis sort of fell into where it was going to fall, which were saying, oh, that's what we don't want. Like, you know, he shouldn't have been like that. What's interesting to me is you were splitting a hair on the paradigm that rarely gets split. People are trying to fringe them out. And, you know, all their, the NRA.
And that's a way to intimidate them.
That's my point.
It's all part of pecking. Well, you've experienced this. I've experienced this.
But think about it for 1 second. I don't know how long the NRA's been around, right?
Since 1867.
Okay. They've got grassroots connections. They've got political connections. They've got contributors. They're still hemmed in on some level. You know what I mean? So when people come from outside those systems, it's dangerous because you're not gonna shake the hand behind the scenes and say, yeah, you know, my game versus your game. So I think it's important that you bring in historical and spiritual analysis to say how were these systems defeated and what were the principles that actually defeated them? What actually defeated these systems?
Because you're right, history repeats itself. I'm trying to defeat them going, they're bad, they're bad, they're bad. But people don't even know what do you replace it with. So I think we need to look at what has defeated. There it is, a solution. No history, so you don't repeat it. What has defeated this in the past? That will be the key to the solution now. I mean, I also, like you said, reach out to the system and say, do you really want this for your kids? And I think that's effective as well.
Yeah.
In closing, just amazing interview. The website, we've had that on screen throughout. You never went away, but there's been a big resurgence. Why do you think that's happening?
I think just to make it consistent with the talk we've had, I think I had to, when I had nothing, I was willing to play along with the system that was presented. I was willing to give my rights away, and then once I was inside the machine, I thought, wow, this is kind of really weird. Then you start trying to manipulate the machine so it works better for you. Meanwhile, you're losing some part of your, we've all seen that movie, artist loses their integrity or whatever in the process, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, consciously or unconsciously, I blew up part of my musical career because I was so uncomfortable with the sort of the falsehoods and the compromises of the music business. I mean, I meet people all the time who say, oh, I love this guy. And I think, oh, man, if you knew what that person was really like, or whose skull that person had stepped on to get in that place, So you learn that there's a public game and a private game and turf wars and stuff like that. And for years I thought about retiring because I thought, I just can't live in this slimy, dirty business. And then I ultimately had to figure out, well, I want to do this. How do I do this right? Well, I started to have to do my own business, my own systems. I gave some of the music away for free. And then I amassed some other power that I didn't have before, or I recollected something within myself to where maybe I have something that I could have only had by going through that. And that's where I would sort of close.
So you came out of Babylon or out of Egypt like Moses, went to the wilderness, and then came back.
Yes. I think one of the most powerful moments in the story of Jesus' life is when he loses his temper at the money changers.
You didn't say that last time.
Okay, so. He knocks over all the tables. I think that's an incredible story because it says even a spiritually rooted human being can reach a point of frustration, right? So what that tells me is there is a moment to get angry, and just like is it Ecclesiastes? It's the bird song,
There's a time to live, a time to die.
Right. There's a time for everything, and I think where we're at now is there's a time where we have to go into something that that is unique to the unique to the American experience. For people who grew up in our relative generation, who were told America's #1 and this, and we're the shining beacon on the hill, and all these things. Now we're having access to information where we realize not only is that maybe not true, but maybe it never was true. So there's a part of us as Americans that resonates with the idea that America does have a unique and special quality, even if it's an ideal. So what can we learn through this experience that we can restore that ideal so we can get back on the page where people have jobs and they're proud of themselves, and
exactly
right? Because there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with meeting somebody who works hard because they want to get something out of life to provide for their family, good values. There's nothing.
I mean, that's true. That's freedom. I mean, Martin Luther King said, colorblind society, don't judge by their color, judge by the character of their deeds.
As we spoke at dinner, I think, look, I came into contact with you probably 6-7 years ago, and there's even a song that I have on my Zeitgeist album, which is called United States. And we're actually performing the song at the moment. And the lyrics, and I realized the lyrics came from a lot of the things that I learned from sourcing out things that you were talking about. As I said before, I didn't just take your word for it.
Rob Jacobson came to me when that came out. He said it was his favorite record. We listened to it in the office. We were making Endgame then. It had just come out. And he goes, this guy's listening to you. You got to contact him. This guy's listening to you.
Well, that's true.
That's funny.
So, okay, so over the course of 6 to 7 years, I've had to go through different versions of, what does this really mean for my country? What does this mean for me as an individual? What does this mean for me as an artist? What does this mean for my brother who's special needs? I mean, what do all these things mean? And all I can say and share with humility is that you've got to go to a place within yourself that believes in something higher, whether it's American idealism or, as Rush Limbaugh says, American exceptionalism. I mean, you have to believe in something to guide you out of this wilderness.
You have no rudder.
Because my point is I don't care what your political affiliation is. You'd be hard-pressed to find just about anybody living in America right now that's comfortable with the way things are going.
Okay? So you've got to realize you're the solution, and then think about, how do I change? And then together we can change the larger.
But that's my point is I think, like, you can cite, and you cite facts and figures and this study, and I read this, Club of Rome report from blah, 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 blah. You can do that all day till you're blue in the face. But sometimes some of the most effective moments on your programming is when you talk about being a father or a citizen or a nature. So what is it about that can resonate beyond?
It's the shared human experience.
Thank you.
Billy Corgan, we're going to have you back as soon as you come back through Austin. And it is really great to hang out with you and to have you challenge me. And I hope I challenge you. You're awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you for the time. Well, my friends, that's one for the record books. I can probably tell you unequivocally that may be the most powerful interview I've ever done in 17 years on air, and I didn't know that was going to happen, and it's good to get butterflies because I don't ever get those anymore, even when I'm talking to 5,000 people on a stage. So hope you analyze that interview, look over it. Think about it, because my gut, my spirit tells me that was important. And I think you know it's important. We all have to really think about where we are in the universe right now and really work together to change this planet, because we are hurtling in the wrong direction. And everyone in their gut knows that as a civilization, as a species, we are in grave danger, but that the solutions to turn this ship around are always there. Well, that's it for this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. God bless you all.